Porto Alegre Bienal is not Airbnb Bienal, I used to say. I mean, it's not a bienal where, or a city where people arrive from outside to visit the bienal and leave, but it's a bienal really attended by the population of the city. It's the places where the bienal happen are in the center of the city, surrounding a public square where everybody cross for going to their jobs, for eating, for the book fair that happen there every year. Then it's a very lively city where people live, and the bienal is immersed in this context. And then during 2018, we began with a seminar, and during 2019, once we invited the curatorial curator that is in charge of the educational program, we were developing, guided by his program, the activities. Then I want to introduce the team, the curatorial team, which is integrated by Dorota Bixel. She's from Poland. Unfortunately, they can gather us in this meeting. Are difficult times. It's not easy to coordinate activities from where they are now. It's not a press conference that is happening in Porto Alegre. And Dorota is from Poland, and she's very specialized in art from Peru, from Ecuador, from Bolivia also, and from the East countries. And that's why she was invited to be part of the team because of her expertise. And Fabiana Lopez, who is a Brazilian curator, specialized in Brazilian Black art and also in African art, and particularly in Black diaspora. Then she was in charge of selecting many of the artists that are in the Bienal, and particularly because for me it was very important people speaking in first person and involved directly with the research topics that we wanted to explore, to expand basically the limited frames of the artwork that we consider that is predominantly white and also predominantly male or patriarchal work. Then there are many women artists. They are dominating the Bienal, of course. And the educational curator, the curator on charge of education program. This program has a long tradition in Porto Alegre Bienal. It's a very strong program. And he was able to design a program before, during 2019 for developing the connection between the topics explored by the Bienal and the community in Porto Alegre, in Rio Grande do Sul, and in Brazil. And once we decided to move into online platform, he was able to design an incredible program that has been recently activated and that is including now more than 600 professors, teachers from Brazil. Then it's like a dream for a curator, no? That a biennial is involved with education. I wanted to bring some issues. Then Igor will be together with us today, and I want to introduce now some issues in the biennial. The title, as it was mentioned before, is Feminines, Visualities, Actions, and Affects. It is a biennial that was conceived through the notion of participation, but participation as multiplicity and not as separation. That's why we are very inclusive, but we are not classifying or providing statistics in terms of who is involved, from what countries. No, then it's diversity, but without separation. And also it's involved in the Bienal the feminist agendas that are departing in the field of art in the 60s, in the 70s, but are being reactivated recently. It's a biennial in which we include references in the curatorial statement to literature, like Carolina Maria de Jesus, an Afro-Brazilian poet and chronicler, Clarice Lispector, a very well-known writer, and includes also the notion of feminism, but not as binary division, but more based on the idea of gender fluid and non-normative sensibilities. It's a biennial also where we include indigenous descents, whose presence is included for activating a present critical reflection. Also, the idea of heteronormative male artists as allies, and it's something that many male heteronormative artists are developing through their work, a feminist program, and then they were invited as feminists in the biennial to be, you know, sharing the biennial with some other activist feminist groups who has a strong presence in the biennial also. It's a biennial also where it's very important the notion of waving as a technique, but also as a metaphor of a social fabric. Then it's possible to find in many artists this idea, no, between the technique as a social metaphor. And well, it's a biennial that aspires to share the collective exercise of inventing new ways of doing, saying, thinking, and creating, and with the idea to create a forum or a platform that is a forum where a chorus means different voices together, making a group, an expression from the difference to the work together, where expression and listening the others is the aspiration, no? It's a biennial with a 72. We have still some doubts about, because there are many groups, then how we are counting them, from 24 artists for 24 countries. And from the beginning, from this conception to the place where we are now, we went through almost 3 moments. The first moment was when the close down happened, when we were all over the world going into at home, you know, when museums were closed, biennials, exhibitions, auctions, art fairs. Our first question was, well, how is the team working? No, how we can continue working together, because it was a community that suddenly was not possible. No, we were waiting in less than 1 month to be opening the exhibition, and we were really urgently helping artists that were doing the research in Porto Alegre to go back to their country, and to writing to artists that were almost going to travel to Porto Alegre to say, no, stay in your country. Then it were urgent measures. But immediately what was important was to make the question, how you are, how are you, you know, where you are, what are you doing, how, you know, with the artists, with the team. And then came to us the idea why to invite the artists to send a short video to artists and the team of the Bienal, to send a short video made with a cell phone, basically what you saw just now, no, in the teaser, saying where they are, where they were, and what was the work that they were almost presenting at the Bienal. And in a not too planified way, we suddenly have this beautiful archive of voices and affects, basically with people saying, I am here and I was expecting to go, it was not possible, the work I was planning to present was this and this. Then we saw that we had an incredible archive of feelings and affects. Came to us then the necessity to install the Bienal online. You know, for a Bienal you are 2 years working with a huge team. Many institutions decided to cut the contracts of the educators, the Museum of Modern Art. Many museums cut the contracts. We really try to continue the work with the team, to respect the contracts with the artist, even if the Bienal, we don't know if it will be happening physically. We expect, but we don't know because we have to follow the sanitary policies. But we respected the contracts with the artists. And then it came to us the necessity to move the Bienal, to set the Bienal online. And we were working really very, very hard to install all the artists, all the videos that were planned to be exhibited to show in the Bienal are online. This is really very exceptional, no, to have access to all this material. I have to say that we were not really aware of what we were doing, no, because it was not with the plan. And we are now, in a way, very surprised to have this richness accessible. Some material that we were planning to distribute for free between the audience became the journal. It is a journal that you can find on the site, you can download on PDF, and it's a journal with the words of the artist. There are around 40 artists talking about their works or writing they wrote specifically for the journal, or we were editing interviews or statements from the artists. It is in 3 languages, Portuguese, Spanish, and English, because these are the 3 languages of the world of art in Latin America. And we encourage the trilinguism, to be able to understand each other in these 3 languages. And the third step was the articulation of the pedagogical program, which is reaching an enormous collectivity of educators and audiences. Then we articulated, once that the site was online, live conversations with the artists, between the artists and the curators, between curators, you know. It is interesting because I think that we did the other way around. We follow an inverse alternative. Instead of opening our space with Zoom conversations, which I consider in a way that we are in a moment of Zoomification of culture and museums, because we have Zooms. We did the other way. We were working on the site, we were working in producing new material, and after we are activating all this enormous archive of feelings, testimonies, works of arts, videos, conferences through Zoom conversations. Then I would like to invite Igor to talk a little bit about the pedagogical program.
Thank you, Andrea. Oh, so my English is not so good. My name is Igor Simões. I am educational curator in this Biennale. My English is not so good, so I talk to you in Portuguese. Is much better. And my friend Nadia translate to you and translate you to me, okay? It's much better. I thank you to you. Quando Andrea me convidou para entrar no time de curadoria, eu estava concluindo a minha tese de doutorado. Nádia, tá bom assim?
Tá bom assim? So when Andrea invited me to be part of the curator team of the Biennale, I was just finishing my PhD work.
Yes. A minha formação é em História da Arte. In my research, minhas pesquisas eram em exposição, trabalhavam com a noção de exposição e visibilidade de sujeitos negros na arte brasileira. Trabalhando com a noção de História da Arte e também com a noção de ensino da arte. Quando a Andrea me convida, é desse lugar, do lugar das minhas pesquisas, que o meu trabalho inicia.
My work, when Andrea invited me to be part of this team, was based on my research I did for my PhD, that is based on exhibition and visibility of the Black people in the Brazilian art. As well as teaching, right, and teaching and learning about the art.
Yes. Algo que eu gostaria de destacar é que nesta edição da Bienal há uma horizontalidade muito marcada entre a curadoria educativa, o projeto curatorial do educativo e todo o trabalho curatorial. É importante destacar isso porque isso não é recorrente no trabalho do educativo com as instituições.
What I want to mention and to highlight is the importance of a horizontal line between the educational curation and the whole curatorial work, turning feasible the educational issue, right, as a place of thinking the exhibition and making it possible.
Ok. É importante que o educativo esteja afinado com a mostra, porque o educativo precisa ser visto como um lugar de produção de pensamento. Eu gostaria de destacar que o educativo, o projeto educativo, ele é um lugar de desconfiança. É um lugar de desconfiar das verdades absolutas, do que dizem as obras de arte, desconfiar do que a própria instituição produz, ou seja, é um lugar de contínua produção de pensamento, que questiona a fala dos artistas e provoca o tempo todo novos e imprevistos pensamentos.
What we have to remember is that a question about the absolute truth, right, that the absolute truth that rely on the works of art. In the exhibition, the speech of the artists constantly provoking the production of new and unexpected thoughts.
Para o projeto da Bienal, é importante destacar a importância de um romance escrito no Brasil em 2008.
Eu estou desconectada.
Mulher negra chamada Kendê. É a partir da imagem desta mulher negra que o projeto começa, que o projeto acontece, a partir dessa personagem literária.
It's important to talk about a novel called Defeito de Cor. It's a defect of color, right, by Ana Maria Gonçalves, where the main character called Kendê is the starting point to chase the voices of the Black women, right, as the path and the voices of Black and white women to sue this work.
A partir da noção de Kendê, a primeira etapa desse trabalho consistiu em criar um território, que nós chamamos de território Kendê. Nesses territórios, nós promovemos encontros de artistas, professoras, curadoras, antropólogas, feministas, que passaram a debater os temas da Bienal em encontros públicos.
So we started by creating a place called Kainde Territory, where women artists, anthropologists, curators, feminists, teachers would meet in open encounters with the public, and so start to formulate the debate of the Biennale topics, right? And these meetings happened in 2019.
Yes, thank you. Uma das primeiras etapas foi a elaboração de 12 proposições. 12 proposições para os diferentes públicos da Bienal. A ideia era, a princípio, que essas proposições funcionassem dentro do espaço expositivo, permitindo que o público criasse diferentes trajetos dentro desse espaço. Esses tópicos, essas proposições, discutiam questões e questionavam o público inteiro. Do you know a transgender artist? Do you know a black woman artist? Do you know a indigenous artist? E a partir desse trabalho, a ideia era levar os pontos de discussão da Bienal para o público de maneira geral.
So we started by elaborating 12 proposals for the different publics to research the exhibition that could reach the exhibition through different axes, you know, such as trans women, if you know any kind of artist who is trans, indigenous artists, black women, right? And therefore, you know, they will be provoking the knowing, right, of the public.
Yes.
Igor, tu falou muito longo, eu perdi a última parte aqui. Se alguém pode explicar.
E para nós, o mais importante era o encontro e a garantia de produzir espaços de fala e escuta.
For us, the most important was to be together, and from this meeting point, start producing a place or a place where the people could speak and be listened to.
E após a pandemia, essa necessidade se intensificou. Ainda era preciso que nós pudéssemos estar juntos.
So after the pandemic, this need has grown. It was still necessary for us to be together.
E aí, bom, é nesse momento que nós começamos a pensar o que é uma Bienal online. Como se trabalha com uma mostra que está acontecendo online.
So this is when we started thinking on what is a Biennale and how can we transform this or bring these ideas to an online Biennale.
A nossa escolha foi por manter a ideia de encontro. Permitir que diferentes públicos encontrassem as propostas da Bienal em interação com artistas, curadores, professores.
So we decided to keep the main idea of gathering the artists and the different publics, so providing the people the opportunity to meet the artists, to see the artworks, and everybody to be together in a different kind of interaction.
Era preciso continuar a ativação de uma mostra que acontece online, um desafio de experimentar esse suporte e procurar algumas formas de pensar esses meios.
It was important to keep on maintaining the idea of the art and try to find different kinds of support, supporting ways of thinking this and providing the art through a different way.
um dos nossos programas foi, como muitas instituições fizeram, a criação de um programa de lives. Essas lives promoviam encontros entre professores, educadores, artistas, curadores da mostra e agentes das artes visuais de diferentes campos a partir da Bienal.
So one of our programs is the preparation of live programs where you will have a discussion and speeches and lectures from different artists, curators, educators, and so they could meet the public.
A partir disso, nós fizemos uma chamada pública de professores e criamos uma rede com professoras e professores de todo o Brasil e América Latina, que permitiu que os debates se amplifiquem e que se pense essas novas formas de relação do público escolar diante de dificuldades como o acesso à internet, por exemplo. Em 2 dias, nós tivemos mais de 600 inscritos.
We decided to create a net of teachers from all over Brazil and Latin America, which allowed the debates to broaden and where we could think the different relationship forms between the artists and the different publics. These teachers were all from schools, mainly public schools, in Brazil and in other countries in Latin America. And an important fact was we had to face the difficulties in accessing the internet, for instance, which still remains a problem here. What surprised us, and it was a very nice surprise, that in the 2 first days, over 600 teachers have applied for being part of this online educational program.
Outra estratégia utilizada foi como pensarmos o material educativo da mostra. Para pensar esse material educativo, nós criamos um laboratório de criação, onde professores e artistas da mostra se encontram, e esse material é produzido para ser acessado tanto durante a mostra online, mas também para garantir que os debates sobre os femininos e os afetos possam ter uma vida mais longa do que a própria mostra.
We decided to elaborate from virtual rooms a creative lab with teachers and the artists of the Bienal who could together elaborate the educative materials to be assessed during and after the end of the Bienal. So it would, this material would last longer than the Bienal itself.
Ativar a Bienal desde a rede reforçou também o lugar do educativo no desenho institucional e como lugar de pensar a instituição específico e as formas de acesso à arte em geral.
So activating the Bienal through the web reinforced educational place in the institutional way, drawing institutional drawing, sorry. So as a place of thinking, the institutional specifically and the means of access to the art in general. We had to find the different means of accessing the art.
Yes. Por fim, o mundo dos nossos dias e as suas convulsões entraram de forma direta na Bienal, a partir dos acontecimentos que nos atravessam para além da pandemia. A existência online traz o desafio da perda do encontro do corpo com os trabalhos e o espaço, mas nos faz rever a própria noção de acesso público à arte contemporânea e de quem é esse público, de onde ele vem, mas principalmente amplia o debate de onde e a quem não chegamos.
Okay. Today's world has entered directly in the Biennale form. The events that pass through us, right, are beyond the pandemic, right? They are not, they are part of it, right? the online existence brings the challenge of the loss of gathering of bodies and the work and the space of the exhibitions. But at the same time makes us reconsider the very concept of public access to contemporary art and who this public who accesses this art is, right? And where they come from. But specifically amplifying the debate on where and from and whom cannot reach the access to this art and to the
Is that. Thank you, Nadia. Thank you, Andrea.
Penso, I think that we can open. Thank you very much for the help, Nadia. Thank you, Igor. I think that we can go to the questions. Just I want to add a little comment that is for us as the curatorial team, the question that came once and again was and concerning, you know, the word normality, that is a word that is circulating. You know, we have to go back to normality as a question. And the question we did many times is if we wanted to go back to the state of the world before the pandemia began. You know, what was the state of the world and what was the state of the world of art, and if we want to go back to that place. Then in a while, we can say, in a while, that is this time, 3 months of pandemia and global crisis, in a while, we wanted to explore new possibilities and with the focus on the idea that we want to contribute to rethink our ideas about how the world should be, our emotional connections, and also the place of art. And then we are in a while in this moment, you know, the Bienal online is a moment to explore possibilities also. Then it will be very nice. I don't know if someone wants to add something, or we can go directly to the questions. Tell us if Thais, if we forgot something. Otherwise, we know we have questions that it will be set online, and also from Silvia, Roberta. That,
trying to talk, no?
Well, here is. Yes, well, from the journal Hot Potatoes, that is a feminist journal from Milan, the question is, well, how, the first question, no, to make in a very short way, is the connection between feminism and patriarchal, colonial, and capitalist violences. Well, how do we think is the urgency to give voice of gender, queer, social, political, and ecological issues? Well, personally, I have to say that we're very much involved with the feminist activism in general, but also through artwork. Many words, and this is something that has been discussed very much recently, many words like care, like how to rethink the world, how to rethink the exhausted world, was afforded by feminist theory. Feminism is the most recent and full, complete library we have. Feminism is thinking political theory, an economical theory, a social aesthetic theory. Then feminism spanned on many areas. Then the pandemic reactivated many issues on feminism, like the notion of care, the notion of affection, but also domestic violence, no? That it was increased during this isolation time. Then many works were reactivated by this context, like Fatima Pechi, who is an artist in the Bienal that make more than 100 portraits of assassinated women in Argentina. Then this was a work planned to be in the exhibition, and it was reactivated for this new context. Yes, well, what I can say is that it has been completely verified, the connection between capitalism in the present time, in this moment of expoliation of nature that is affecting particularly countries with commodities and with the exploitation in different ways of the resources of the land and natural resources, and gender agendas, queer agendas, understanding not the polarized organization of sexual feelings of experiencing your body, your life, your emotions, connected with ecological issues and socio-political issues, were reactivated for this context and made that the works included in the Bienal had new resonances. It was in some way like if works that were created before were created for this moment, no? I talk a lot about, well, the the capacity that the work of art has to be activated in a specific moment, in a specific context, but when you move and you open or you exhibit the work in another time, is reactivated, having a new life. The reverberance of the images has this power. And I think that a biennial focus on feminist topics was urgent and very, very contemporary in the new context marked by the pandemia, no?
I don't know if you hear me. Do you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, hello. I present myself again. I'm Valérie Duponchel. I'm the art critic from Le Figaro in Paris, France. I was wondering, you planned to make a biennale that was going to show art in the middle of the city, in the middle of the people, of their lives. If you go online, you address your message to the people who owns a computer. How many of them in Porto Alegre? How many of them in Brazil? What is the percentage? This is my first question. And the second one is the following chapter. When you go and see a biennale, you can be without any luggage because you can be moved by art and then be driven to the words or to the speeches or to the intellectual side of it afterwards. But if you don't, how do you make that connection between art, between a biennale and the people?
Okay.
It's a large question.
Yes, and all the responses, all the answers will be partial and speculative, of course.
Of course.
Then I think
and full of hope, yeah.
Yes. I think that we can evaluate this decision that it was not a decide, it was not a plan, it was, well, how to explore the present in a way. We lose and we win things. We lose the physical experience, we lose the possibility to experience the works together, we lose the experience of sharing your emotions and to be with your body next to the body of the others, feeling together. We lose, and this is a pessimistic perspective, I think that we lose for a long time in the future. I want to say that a lot of the present, I think that will be part of our future for a certain time. We don't know, we hope that not. And personally, I don't want to go back either, because I think that we are not where we are now without the state we were in March 2020. Then it's problematic to give an answer, and I don't feel myself in the place of making any kind of futurology. And we are not exitist in the way to say, you know, we didn't have the Bienal, but you know, we have this that is better. No, well, we are exploring and doing as much as we can for not just to be frozen, expecting to go back in the future where we were, which is something that we analyzed critically with the curatorial team. And we said, we don't want to go back. Then we don't know what is the future, but we want to live in this present and active, and to have a place where to go back or where to be, you know, because if you paralyze, you don't do anything. And it has to do, of course, with the necessity of each one. Nobody in the team was forced to continue working. We were respecting very much the personal experience of the present and the necessity to continue doing or not. But some people need to continue doing, some people need to stop. And then everything is respectful. And then we lose a lot of things. What we want is true, as you said, Valerie, that not everybody has internet connection. And it's an illusion to think that because there are online resources, everybody is connected. Then this is what we lose. We lose the possibility that someone that could get a bus in Porto Alegre City to visit the Bienal now has not internet connection and cannot have access. Then this is something we lose. It is also a moment that should be explored, because makes it clear how many people don't have connection, how necessary is to improve these resources, because if the future or the present is part of the future, well, we need to improve that. It's a big question mark if the governments will be investing on improving these resources or not. In Brazil, the circumstances are very complex and difficult, but well, the space of the Bienal is also a place for testing, where we are in such terms, you know, how much connectivity should be improved, how much is possible to do, and how much also when you are thinking an online exhibition, contents are accessible with different preparation, and how much you can do to prepare this information, knowledge, experiences you want to share in a language that is potentially able of being in touch with different kind of audiences. We don't know if we did it. We are exploring. We did as much as we can. We are not exitist, you know, in a way to say, we did extraordinary. We keep doing this is, and we did as much as we were able to do. But this is a precarious answer I can give to you to a big question, no?
Thank you.
I don't know if...
Andrea, do you help me?
Yes.
Yes. Acho importante que se tenha em mente que uma mostra de arte contemporânea, embora ela parta da necessidade da presença física, ela é também a construção de um pensamento. E o que nós temos tentado encontrar são as maneiras de fazer com que o pensamento que enseja a mostra possa continuar em movimento. E, ao mesmo tempo, a gente fala.
Wait a second.
Okay.
Briefly, I will make a shorter answer, but we think that an exhibition, a biennial in this case, is a physical experience, a presential experience, but also is an experience of a construction of thinking. And this construction of thinking is available, and it will last for a longer time than the physical experience of the biennial.
Yes. E o momento atual tem nos permitido construir e pesquisar novas formas de relação com o público. Como, por exemplo, descobrir que hoje nós precisamos de materiais que funcionem via WhatsApp, diante da dificuldade, por exemplo, de acesso à internet.
And then we were very aware during the process that we need to create new ways of communication and to explore new tools. And it was evident through this process that we need to create tools to be accessible through WhatsApp, through the cell phone. Like the cell phone, I am completing your thought now, Igor. Estou completando o seu pensamento, Igor.
Sim, sim.
That the cell phone is affordable or is closer to people than a computer, no? Then that's why tools were conceived for the WhatsApp.
Yes, yes.
May I say a few words too?
Yeah, yes.
Yes. Valerie,
Yeah.
From the side of the foundation, it is really an interesting experience because we want to keep our exhibitions are really experimental, trying to see new ways of having contemporary art reaching Brazil as a whole. Yes, we have a lot of inequity, as you know, in Brazil, and this experience is really surprising because we are now gathering a much larger group of educators all over Brazil and Latin America, in which we never taught before. And we had in previous exhibitions a good educational program, a strong one, but this time, even if we are not doing a real Bienal physically, we are doing it online, this network, this platform that we created naturally of having a lot of people, teachers, basic school teachers, secondary teachers, and university teachers. We have a very powerful tool now, I think, to making art reaching people that we never taught before. You know, art in Brazil is for a very small group of privileged white people like me. And I saw in this online exhibition, really the protagonist, the voice was the voice of women, of feminists, and also Black people. Usually in Brazil, as elsewhere, we have exhibitions with not many women, not many Black people, and we really saw in these gatherings the people we wanted to have being visualized as the title of the Bienal, and a lot of affections. That's the word, I think, for me. We created a kind of a task force to really survive this moment, doing our best. So we don't have many expectations. It's just a reality. We are describing what is happening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hola, no sé si puedo hacer una consulta, una pregunta.
Sí, claro.
¿Se escucha? Bueno, buenas tardes a todos. Soy Mercedes Esquiaga. Andrea la puedo hacer en español y vos igual
sí, claro.
En inglés, no hay problema. Me interesa dos cuestiones en particular. Lo primero es el hecho de que haya surgido para este formato online la palabra afectos, ¿no? Que creo que se volvió, el otro día te escuché en una charla que decías, casi ya nos estábamos olvidando que las personas son más importantes que las obras de arte. Pareciera que el mundo del arte, y de hecho lo que viene debatiendo en este último tiempo es cómo va a vender, y viene, me parece, poniendo el foco sobre temas que no son las personas que en este momento, y la palabra afectos creo que resurgió con mucha fuerza a raíz de la pandemia. O sea que en primer lugar preguntarte si esta incorporación, esta decisión de la palabra afectos tiene que ver con esta bienal que está ocurriendo ahora en el online, o si ya venía previamente pautada. Y por otra parte, lo que me gustaría preguntarte a vos y a tu equipo es si hay una posibilidad de que la bienal se haga en octubre, que no está confirmado, pero si lo hubiera, y tanto que se está hablando de los cambios y de la nueva normalidad, aunque muchos lo vemos con bastante escepticismo, que algo fuera a cambiar verdaderamente, ¿se incorporaría algún cambio a lo que está planeado previamente en la Bienal física? Me pregunto. También lo último es, pienso la palabra Mercosur, y cómo se sostiene aún hoy, digo, con todo lo que está pasando en América Latina, cómo se sostiene el nombre de Mercosur, eso. Pero en inglés te respondo.
Well, I will make a resume of the question in English. She was remembering a comment I did in a Zoom conversation about that the world of art was giving more value to the works of art. The world of art was giving more value to the works of art than with people, which is something that results evident, I add, through the spectacularization of the prices of the world of art, which I also add, these are my words, the concentration of capitals in this stage of capitalism is reflected in the world of art by the prices that are paid for some works of art. And the other part of the question was about the relevance of the word affects. If we conceive that before, and yes, I could answer that the word was in the title of the Bienal, in the subtitle of the Bienal, but of course, in the context of the pandemia, got a new relevance and centrality. And then we focus very much, and we talk even about an activism of affects as a way, you know, to give a relevance to this word, and that was activated, which activism does, activated through the testimonies, through the commitment also of the part of the team of the Bienal, no? Affects were very important in us, in between us, to continue working. And also the word Mercosur is a big question mark because we don't know the south of America is in a very problematic moment. Agreements, economic agreements will be sustained. Alliances, it will be sustained. Whatever it happened, what I can say is that connections between Brazilian, Argentinian, Peruvian, Chilean, Uruguayan culture exist. And artists and intellectuals, I think that it will be committed to continuous interlocution between, the dialogues in between people from different countries are very active. Then beyond economic alliances or economic or markets, I think rural connections should be and are being activated in this present. And finally, you ask about if we think that if the Bienal could be installed in the space will be the same. This is my impression. Nothing could be the same after what we were experiencing now. How it's possible? Our lives are completely up down, you know. Many of us, we are losing close people of our family. How we can be the same? How we can make the same? We are talking because we don't know. We don't know what it will happen in October. We don't know what it will happen in the world. In China, the pandemia is being activated again. We don't know, we hope no, but we don't know. We don't know what it will happen in Europe. We don't know what it will happen in the North Hemispherium. We would like to make almost a smaller version. We know that works that were site-specific works based on intense research that were developing artists before the opening. Some of the artists were visiting Porto Alegre and they have to make a second trip. Then I am almost sure that it will not happen. Then are projects that it's not possible. Efficiency should not be the value in this moment. What kind of efficiency you can talk about? Then we hope to be able to have the opportunity to recreate the physical experience, but we don't know what it will happen. And the Bienal has been from the beginning very responsible in terms of taking care of people. Taking care of people means taking care of the team, taking care of the artists, and taking care of the audiences. Then anything will be done outside of the sanitary regulations. And we don't know. And the Bienal has not, it's not the one that has to discuss the sanitary regulations. This should be established by the specialists and by the governments. I don't think that museums has to invest time on thinking on that, can make proposals for adapting regulations for the specificities of each institution. I think that from my point of view, the best you can do now is to think through the tools of art, how you can contribute to make this in a while, the time we are now in between, in a while, a way to create critical thoughts about the future, the present, and the past. No.
Just one word. The Mercosur Treaty is for 4 countries: for Brazil, Uruguay, Paraguay, and Argentina. Our Mercosur of art is surprisingly much more wider and open. We have, if our Mercosur for politics would be as rich, as open, and as friendly as we have in our art world, I would be very, very proud. I hope they will do the same one day. I don't believe that, but I hope.
Thanks.
André, acho que tem mais uma pergunta ali do Hot Potatoes.
But Sylvia Rottenberg, that is there, wants to make a question. That is true? You wanted to make a question, Sylvia? I am not listening you, Sylvia. Maybe it's not activated. You are mute. I don't know what is happening.
If she's listening, it's just to press the audio, because
yes.
She's listening.
I am on mute. Hello?
Yes, okay.
Yeah, hello.
I'm doing it again. Hi. Thank you very much. My name is Sylvia Rottenberg, and I write for Hyperallergic, amongst others. Thank you for explaining, and great that you have set this up, this online Bienal. I was wondering if you already have gathered some numbers by any chance, like how many people are logging in, how active is the site, things like that, like some numbers. I don't know if you have them. And the second question is about the different notion of curation, no? Like usually as a member of a public, you go through a Bienal, you're like led by the hand of the curators, and you see different works of art following a certain kind of narrative or a story, or you make through the position of certain objects in relation to the other, you make associations, or you're invited to make some associations. And this is something that is quite challenging or difficult, or maybe not possible online. I don't know exactly if it is there or not. How did you tackle this problematic? Is there an associative narrative throughout the online biennial? And if so, how is that to be seen, or how can the public follow that course of thinking?
I let the question about how many people is logging in for Thais or for Caio that are more connected with this information. I have not been updated until now about that it's very interesting question. What I can say is that every time that Black Brazilian artists are talking, the audience is like 3 or 4 times bigger. Then it means that the world of art is very wide, but the expectation of the community about what is happening in first person by the Afro-Brazilian creators and the connection with the audiences is high. Then if museums are expecting to attract people to the museums in the future, really they will invest in these programs because the audiences will explode. Then it's a strong necessity from the society, then the world of art change. But the other question concerning the physical distribution of the works, you know, unfortunately, we were not able to install physically the works of art. They are, many of them, still in boxes. You know, then we have the designs made by the architect. We are thinking if we display them online or not. But of course, there were nucleus, it were themes that were organizing the works on the space. And of course, it's something that happened when you install a work of art in the exhibition space that is completely new. It's completely new because you have the real works in the space for the first time. You're not listening? Hello? Oh, now you're listening? I don't listen you know, Silvia?
Silvia?
You hear me now?
Yeah.
Hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Then I said that when you have the works in the space, you have a zone of contact, you know, the dialogue between the works, and you have a space of friction, because when the words are together, is something happening. The meaning of the words, the contents explode. There, yes. You don't know. It's like it's a kind of bomb in the space, no? And metaphorical. Of knowledge, of new experiences. This will not happen. What we have now is the works displayed on the screen. And many other connections came, you know, that, for example, yesterday we were talking about the quotations that the Guatemalan artist Jessica Caire made of the performance by Marta Rosler, The Semiotic of the Kitchen. Mm-hmm. Then, you know, we were talking about this connection between a historical feminist piece, work of a Guatemalan artist that is referring to the war. She makes soft grenades, soft weapon tools. It's as an ironic reference, but also as a reference of violence in Guatemala. And at the same time, it came to my mind the work of Ana Gallardo, whose completely monochromatic drawings with a pencil are contained in a very almost erased way statements of women that were tortured or abused in Guatemala. Mm. Then, you know, you are able to make new connections. Then it's again what you win and what you lose, you know. Then I think that we lose definitely the physical experience of the works of art in the space, and we win the possibility to make new connections. I think that maybe Igor has something to say about that.
Eu acho importante que a gente consiga pensar que esse espaço de fricção entre as obras, de alguma maneira, ele segue se produzindo quando o público cria os seus trajetos dentro do site. Da mesma maneira que nós não podemos determinar quais são os trajetos e quais são as relações que o público vai fazer no espaço expositivo, nós também não podemos determinar previamente quais são as relações que o público faz no site. São dois espaços distintos, mas nesse sentido eles se parecem.
He answered, and I make a brief version, that at the same time that this potential energy of meanings and emotions produced in the exhibition space, and this could happen through the connections this friction happen again through the connections that audiences can create, in a way creating you are through the site, no? In a way creating their own exhibition also, no? Then I think I am completing the connections proposed by you, Igor, that the propositions are also as an exemplary exercise for making your own propositions, no? It's, the provocation is always, well, I invite you to do this, but what else you can produce, you can think about that, no? Then propositions are proposing and opening you the possibility to make your own proposal.
Perfect.
And then if we don't have more questions, I will complete this last answer through one question that Hot Potatoes sent us that says that how the artistic feminism is evident or present in the Bienal and in the work of the artists of the Bienal. What I can say, you know, always is a provisional answer, but we can say is that in the exhibition we have historical feminist artists. I can say the Guerrilla Girls, Judy Chicago work, that is the first time that Judy Chicago is participating in the Bienal. Esther Ferrer, that is a feminist anarchist artist from the Basque Country living in Paris. The Monica Mayer, that is a Mexican feminist. And Geta Bratescu, that is an artist from Romania that passed away on 2018. And then this is like, and of course, Rosana Paulino, that is a Brazilian artist, a Black artist that it has been also in a critical way involved with feminism in Brazil. Then we have this strong group of artists that are historical, very relevant, and at the same time, we have, for example, the arpilleras that are collective work made by women in Chile during Pinochet dictatorship in order to communicate what was happening with the population and to create resources for the human rights organizations and for the family of disappeared people that were looking for the members of their family. We have, for example, Juliana Góngora, an artist from Colombia that created a textile or a kind of network between natural elements like and a way to create this texture through milk, experiencing the process of condensation of milk to create a symbolic and a material way for meatworking. Or Chatri Janone, an Argentinian collective of artists that are a couple in life and are a couple in art. Know that we're creating, well, presenting in the Bienal a huge tapestry, the first time that it will be exhibited, and at the same time proposing a workshop that is based on some pieces of brodering that were made before, began before, and then they move through different workshops through the world for being continued. Then it's a strong metaphor of how a handmade technique associated with women practices became social practices and international practices, no? Connecting a global community of makers that in public spaces are working together and continuing a work that was begun from someone and continued for someone else. Then I think that you can make, you know, thousands of connections between artists that are making in action principles of feminism. Principles of feminism that are associated with the poetics of the house, the care, the handmade things, the small things instead of the heroic language or approach to nature, and the connection with the land, the connection between land and life of family, as land supporting the life of the family. I think that feminism, beyond that artists recognize themselves or identify themselves as feminists, are present in practices very much valued through feminist activism, no? Then of course it's also in the Bienal the presence of some collectives that, you know, like We Propose, or Public Women, or Coco, that is a collective from Uruguay, and then we include just some of them. We can make a complete biennial based on feminist activism that are moved by urgent agendas like the legalization of the right of women to decide about their own body, the conception, and which is a very active agenda at the present in Latin America, where abortion is illegal. And then also the agendas against femicides and violence, which is an agenda relevant in Latin America, but all over the world. Then urgent agendas of feminism expressed in protests all over the world at the present time are also in the Bienal with some kind of representation, no? I don't know if there is some more questions, or if someone wants to add something. A ver, here I have some information from Thais from Press. First, in 2019, for you, Valerie, that you asked, 2019, 70% of the population had access to internet.
Population of Brazil, or
Of
Porto
Brazil.
Alegre. Brazil.
No,
Porto Alegre, Brazil.
Or Porto Alegre. I don't know. Thais, you can clarify if it's Porto Alegre or Brazil. I understand that it's Brazil. It were more than 30,000 entries access to the site in the last 3 months, coming from 10 different countries. Brazil, the United States, Argentina, Chile, Spain, Colombia, Portugal, France, Mexico, and Uruguay. Well, these are some of the responses I received.
Thank you.
Okay. If there are questions, Mercedes, it was everything clear for you. We can have a personal exchange after if you want, if you have more questions. And thank you very much for being part of this this meeting. And we are really, we just finished to install all the contents. We are full, you know, we complete the site now. Then we are very much involved now with the pedagogical program, the activations through teaching. Pedagogical programs is the most important part at this moment, the educational mission of the Bienal, and at the same time to open the site for audiences from all over the world. You are in France. I want to tell you that Kimiko Shoshida is an artist from Japan, a feminist artist. Her story is very fascinating, and she lives in France. Then Esther Ferrer, which is
yes,
an artist.
I know.
Yeah, she's a great friend. It's an amazing woman, an artist, and then we were really very, very proud to have her in the exhibition. Then there were some connections also with artists living in Paris.
Thank you.
And also who lives in Paris is Julieta Anono, which is an Argentine artist that, well, was part of the darker moment of Argentinian history. She was imprisoned during the dictatorship, being a teenager, and then she's living in France, in Paris, since the 90s. Then in different ways.
Marie Orensans.
Marie Orensans, Lea Lublin. We have
a lot of Latin American artists here.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you know the initiative of Aware, no?
Yes, of course.
Of course, yeah. Because I collaborate very much with them. It's,
I'm a great friend of Camille.
Oh, Camille is great. It's great.
Well, thank you very much for that very interesting conference. Wish you luck. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye, thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Oh, sí, ok.
¿Sí?
No, Silvia, para decirte que también van a estar el catálogo y los textos del seminario van a estar online en unos pocos meses, ¿no? Estamos en plena producción.